Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in. As one of my inspirations for this show, Barbara Lamb, the legendary Barbara Lamb, is here to talk about everything about her new book with Sheila Seppi, along with everything from ET contact to regression therapy. And we're going to get into it big time tonight. So make sure you sit back, relax, because we are going to have a great time. Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon that he will draw for you. And of course, the best part about tonight, all of you are here as well, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman in his goatee with a silver, and taking home the bronze medal tonight will be SJ. Moving on, let us say hello to Robert Lamoth, Kitty Caddywhack, Laura Lobbs, T-Bone, my man, how are you? Michael Morris is here. Michael Morris will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Hi, Parasolo. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go to a show nice and smooth. You don't want any rigidness, no uncomfort, so Michael takes care of us. All right, Melvin does at least. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having yourself a wonderful, wonderful night. Moving on, Eternity Eternal, thanks for coming on in. Joanne, nice to see you. Hey, Barb Madison, what's happening, my friend? Frankie B, thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call. Road Flare, how you doing? Chris Holm is here eating breakfast for dinner. That's pretty sad. But either way, after he's done that horrid meal for dinner, he'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio for Chris, to the right of the studio. Richard Minnick, how are you? Adam Weiss, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. Susan Alloway, nice to see you. Paul Demon, good to have you here as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Moving on, there's Gory Tiger. And who's next on our list? Let's take a look. Scrolling on down. And Erico from Calgary. How you doing? W. David Page, good Canadian kid right there. Moving on down. And who is next on our list? Dave's right here, Richard. That's why I'm on camera on the microphone. Necessary Dialogue. Joel, over on X, your hair looks incredible tonight, my friend. Incredible. Can't believe that you are here. This is awesome. Cowie Schneider, how are you doing? Mark Sanchez and his collection of Hawaiian t-shirts. Nice to see you. Matthew Gupka, how you doing? Richard, thank you for kicking off this super chat tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. Hi, Lisa Smith. Paramarv, how you doing, my man? Good to see you. Jennifer Beveridge, good evening to you. Hi, Thomas Rock and Pam Harris again. Phyllis Boucher Perry, Kimberly Burgess, thank you both for joining on in. And Operation Shutdown, nice to see you. Marty Burback, nice to have you back in the game. Thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call here. Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got aliens and ET contact, by the way. Yeah, you do. Hi, Christine Lynn, nice to see you. Human Carl is here. a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. Algaray over on Twitch just did 900 pounds on the leg press machine because he wanted to get really, really pumped up for Barbara Lamb tonight. Cosmic Joe, thank you for that awesome super chat. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the love. Moving on down, Alien Critter, how you been? Good to see you back. Nina Williams, nice to have you here. Sierra, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Blue Cruz, how you doing? Let's get the radio sides going here. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as Barbara Lamb will be here momentarily to talk about all things ET. We're going to have a great time with her tonight. We are in roll call, and we say hello to Unveiling Addiction. Welcome to SOR Chat. And who's next on our list? Marianne Kochabinski from Walter's House. How you guys doing? And let's see, Scott's Life, nice to see you. Number 6 in your program, starting on defense, Lars Jansson from Stockholm, Sweden. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out the Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Jive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Jive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an awesome show of knowledge tonight. Regression hypnotherapist and author Barbara Lamb will be here to talk about her new book, as well as we are going to get into some hypnotic regression about alien contact. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Then in hour number 3, we got a busy one. Swamp Dwellers here with another spooky story. Follow that up by Robin Haynes of the Crypted Report. It's Dave 101 night. And of course, the weird news of the week. Let's get right to it. Barbara Lamb is a licensed psychotherapist and a current hypnotherapist and regression therapist. She is considered one of the world's leading authorities in the field of ufology and ET contact. Since 1991, she has hypnotically regressed more than 3,000 people in 4,800 regressions to reveal the details of some of their encounters with extraterrestrials and other dimensional beings. She has co-authored Crop Circles Revealed, Alien Experiences, Meet the Hybrids, and Kids' Adventures with ET Friends in Space. She's got a brand new book out called Cosmic Convergence that she wrote with Sheila Seppi, and it's called Cosmic Convergence, Journeys of Walk-ins, Starseeds, and Hybrids. Barbara Lamb, so nice to have you back on Spaced Out Radio tonight. How are you?
Well, thank you. I'm just fine. Very, very happy to be with you.
Barbara, you've been doing this for a long time. In 1991, you really started getting into the idea of studying this wacky world of UFOs and ETs and ET contact. What led you down this path?
Well, before that, for a few years, I was a hypnotic regression therapist, and most of those sessions took us into past lives. In fact, I was trained by the Association for Past Life Research and Therapies. And so I was very busy doing that work along with my regular psychotherapy practice. And then in 1991, it just happened that people started coming to me wanting regressions to find out about the very unusual things that had happened to them, missing time experiences and being aware of beings in the room at night and so forth. And so that began that work back in 1991 of regressing people to their extraterrestrial encounters. And has it been interesting? Oh my goodness, because everybody who comes for a regression has had something just a little bit different happen with the beings. There are some commonalities among them, but still each one is unique and different. Each encounter with an extraterrestrial being. So it has been amazing. And then even in the very early days, in the early 1990s, I happened to meet at a conference a husband and a wife who were talking to me about the unusual things that were happening with their daughter, a 26-year-old daughter. They said that suddenly, one morning, she woke up and she seemed to be entirely different. I mean, she looked like their daughter and sounded like their daughter, but her interests were completely different and she acted differently. And they wondered, what could have possibly happened? So anyway, I met with that daughter and did a regression with her. And it turned out that she was one of the walk-ins, which I'll explain in a bit here. But she had come from being an extraterrestrial out in space to doing a soul exchange with a woman who was here on Earth and took up her life as that woman here in the body of that woman so that she could do some very helpful work here that as an extraterrestrial she had really wanted to be able to do here. So would you like me to talk a little bit more about the walk-ins?
I would love you to. I mean, this is such an exciting subject. I know what they are. And I have a friend of mine who believes her twin sister became a walk-in.
Oh, very good. Well, I think that probably most people in the world are not familiar with this sort of thing that happens, the walk-in phenomenon. What it basically means is that it is a soul exchange. In other words, in the case of this young woman I had mentioned, she was an extraterrestrial, and she wanted to come here and be a human in order to help to raise the consciousness and the spirituality of human beings. So instead of her incarnating the way that the rest of us do, in other words, being a baby, growing in a mother's womb and being born and going through infancy, childhood, young adulthood, etc., before getting into the work that soul came to do, they sort of take a shortcut. In other words, that soul finds a person here, living here, who really doesn't want to be here anymore. That person is probably not really suicidal, but they've just lost all interest in being here in life. So when the soul of the other one, the extraterrestrial, approaches the soul of the one who's living here, they make an agreement that the soul of the one here will, at an appointed time, will leave the body, and then at that very same moment, the other soul would come in and take residence in that body and live the rest of life in that body so that they can do that work. So the one who has left the body, that person is usually not always, but in many cases is adult already, and yet young enough as an adult to have, maybe another good 30 or 40 or maybe more years of work left available to do in that lifetime. So it's really a very expedient way for a soul from somewhere else to come in and take up residence in a body, somebody who's already living here, already adapted to human life and knowing how to do everything that we have to do in human life, and yet extend that beyond by doing a lot of really good work. So I think it's really a wonderful system. It's not like a takeover of a person who's here, not like a body snatcher or anything like that. It's by mutual agreement of those two souls. And the soul who leaves the body, letting the other one come in, that original soul just goes right on into the spirit realm, like we all do when we die. So that one is perfectly all right and can reincarnate when he or she chooses to. So it's not the end of the soul, just the end of that soul living in that particular human body, human life. So that's what Sheila did. And but I did know way before meeting Sheila. I met the young woman whom I had mentioned, who came in, and she had changed suddenly from being very focused on business, which is perfectly fine, but she suddenly one day told her parents that she wanted to open up a bookshop. This was in the state of Colorado, and then a bookshop with a nice big back room where she could hold lectures and classes and do counseling. And lo and behold, after this change happened and the new soul came in who wanted to do that, this young woman did open up a metaphysical bookstore with a nice big back room and started having classes and giving lectures and discussions, and started right away doing the work that she had come here to do. And that's true of all the walk-ins, that they, of course, have a big adjustment, suddenly being in a human body with the life of that original person. And that original person might have had children still to be raised, might have had a spouse. And so the incoming soul takes all of that on. Can you imagine the adjustment that must be?
That's exactly what happened to my friend's sister. They are identical twins. And for a couple of years, her sister had been saying, I'm just so tired of life. I just don't want to be here anymore. Like she wasn't suicidal or anything like that. Far from it. She was just done with life. And then after this conversation, within a couple of weeks, my friend said her sister all of a sudden started sounding different, talking different in her enunciation of words and everything. And she said it was very real, because here she was, a mother of two, preteen daughters and a husband that she loved very much, but she was just tired and didn't want to be here anymore. And her twin, who knows her best, my friend, literally said that, shortly after that conversation, her sister seemed completely different. The way she talked was different. Her musings, the way she acted seemed different and not continuous with whom, she had known for the previous 40 years.
Right. Well, that's very typical. What a wonderful example you've given. Thank you for that. So that's what happens in the families of walk-ins, that they suddenly think that their person, their mother or sister or whomever it is who's been walked in upon, that person is acting really different. Maybe not looking different, but talking, sounding, acting, being motivated very differently. So the incoming soul then takes on the life of the person she has exchanged with, and even has some of the memories because she's in that body with that brain. So she even has some of the memories, although they're not as clear and distinct as the original person's memories would have been. But anyway, the incoming soul, if there are children already involved, continues to raise the children. And the children might be quite amazed and say things like, "Gosh, Mom, you're so different now," or "What happened, Mom? It doesn't seem like you're our real mom." And then, of course, spouses have a huge adjustment to this new soul being in the familiar body. And with all the cases that I know of walk-ins, if they've already been married, those marriages do eventually end because the new person in the former body is so different and has very different interests, maybe even wants to eat in a whole different way, have a different kind of diet, and do different work, do different activities. And in some cases, these changes are really huge. For instance, the second person I ever personally knew who was a walk-in, she had been with her husband, a real rowdy, good old sporty lady riding motorcycles with him on weekends. They were part of a big motorcycle club. And they would drink beer and they would snuff tobacco, chew tobacco and all that. And, swear and carouse around, having a good old time. But the new one who came in from a spiritual realm, and she wanted to help to raise spiritual awareness in humanity. So she was entirely different. And when I met her, she was dressed in a long, beautiful, flowing gown, a white gown, and had some sort of tiara sort of thing on her head, looking kind of like an angel, and was talking only about spiritual things. Seemed to be a very, very nice woman. But her husband, the motorcycle tobacco chewing guy, just didn't know what to do with her and couldn't understand how and why she had changed like that. So obviously that marriage was slated to end at some point and did end fairly soon because the two of them now were just so incredibly different. So sometimes these souls will be coming in from extraterrestrial realms, like the young woman I mentioned first. And that young woman, by the way, was giving a lecture one night in the back room of her metaphysical bookstore, which she manifested. And she noticed, glancing out the window of that room, that there was a being, a male extraterrestrial being, standing outside by the window, looking in, watching her do her teaching. And she recognized him. "Oh, that's my real father, my extraterrestrial father." So she was very happy to see him, very surprised, but very happy. Went outside of the room, excused herself from the class she was teaching, and went out and had a lovely short visit with him. And he said, "Good, you're doing what you went there to do. We're very, very pleased." And she would have visits with him sometimes after that too, always encouraging her to keep on with the work that she was doing here. So there are so many different situations of the original people who got walked in upon or who did the soul exchange. So the circumstances are really different with each one. So Sheila Seppi, co-author of our new book, Cosmic Convergence, Sheila, quite a number of years ago now, walked in, did the exchange with a young woman who already had 3 children and a marriage. And so Sheila, in this new body, new to her, continued to raise the children. And they're all grown up now. And because she had a lot of ability to do physical healing, she trained the oldest child, a son, trained him to do the healing modality that she brought with her, that she originated here. And the 2 of them are doing a lot of that healing work in a special clinic, which they have set up. And the other 2 children have been learning so much from Sheila and have, had their regular human lives growing up, and yet are much more open to the cosmos and to other dimensions of reality because they have learned all of this from Sheila. And yet they're functioning here perfectly well as human beings. And I think personally that Sheila is absolutely amazing. All of the things that she has started. She started a group called the Galactic Alliance. And within that group, there's the Conscious Awakening Network, where there are very high consciousness people, highly spiritual people, who have been doing many, many podcasts and doing their teaching, their inspiring. And it's this Conscious Awakening Network that goes out on TV channels and Roku and many, many different channels so that more and more people can learn about this perspective, this higher spiritual perspective. She also has lectures that she puts on every Monday and every Thursday evenings with a guest speaker doing a presentation. And she forms conferences and does amazing work. And then all of this healing work as well, and private consultations. So anyway, when Sheila had the idea of writing a book about walk-ins and hybrids and starseeds, it was wonderful for me that she asked me to co-author the book with her and contribute actual cases from my regression therapy practice. So I have a few cases of walk-ins, people I had worked with, and a few cases of starseeds. I have actually worked with many more starseeds than I have mentioned in the book, and a few cases of the hybrids. And in the meantime, actually before I actually met Sheila, but was very aware of the walk-in phenomenon, I had also become very involved in the hybrid phenomenon. In other words, people who were born here in the regular way that we are all born and live their entire lives here on Earth, and yet before birth, and sometimes even before conception, they were given some extraterrestrial genetics. And that's why we refer to them as hybrids, because they're human, but they have some extraterrestrial genetics.
Right.
And in some cases of the people I have worked with,
Barbara, I'm going to have to cut you off right there because we do have to go to commercial break.
Okay.
Barbara Lamb is here, regression therapy. We're going to talk about her new book with Sheila Seppi, Cosmic Convergence, Journeys to Walk-In, Starseeds, and Hybrids. It can be found on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online right now. We'll be right back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, Barbara, we're clear. So our YouTube and podcast audience can still hear us, but our radio audience cannot right now.
Okay.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. I love listening to you talk because everything you say is just so educational.
Oh, good. Well, I love it too. I'm just so impassioned about this whole subject of these beings from elsewhere and how we can intermingle with them in some cases, how we can get to know them and learn from them and be inspired by them. I think it's wonderful. And the more that we know about that, I think the better it is.
I would agree with you. I would totally agree with you on that. You know, and the more we're able to educate the public on it, that makes it so much more better too.
Right.
All right, bear with me. All right. Are you still down, I believe, in San Diego?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, see, I remember these things.
Good for you.
I try. I
do very well, Dave.
Oh. Let me tell you, to our audience listening, I got to meet Barbara in 2019 at UFOCon that Lorian Fenton put on, and Lorian is one of my most gracious supporters of everything, and love her to bits.
Good.
And I got to meet you, Barbara, and the one thing that I picked up on really quickly about you is how you have this amazing aura of energy that just resonates nothing but love, confidence, and just everything positive. And, you know, I don't know if people have ever told you that before, but that's what I picked up on from you right away.
Oh, lovely. So much. I really love that.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. So at the top of the hour, we will go to a 6-minute break after this one. And so if you want to refill your water glass, or you want to take a quick break for a few minutes, we could do that. Okay.
Okay. At the top of the hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got some big questions for you coming up. Big, hard, deep questions.
Okay.
All right.
We're still on a break now.
Oh yeah, we're got about another 2 minutes here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're just getting all ready here.
Okay. Sort of forgotten where I was when we cut off here.
Oh, no worries. I forget that every day. All right. We've got about 45 seconds, Barb. Big thank you tonight to Richard, Cosmic Joe, and Jennifer, and T-Bone, my man, for the great super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support, everybody. Thank you very, very much. And Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Hi, Melissa Kronwetter. How are you? Good to have you back. And I think we are pretty caught up. Little Cam's moved over onto the YouTube channel. Little Cam, bench pressing 700 pounds 70 times before calling it quits. Yeah, he's jacked up for tonight's show. We love it here. And we got 10 seconds left. We're having a fun time. Hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. Here we go, everybody. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet called Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Barbara Lamb is here. She has a brand new book out with Sheila Seppi. It can be found on Barnes & Noble and Amazon called Cosmic Convergence, Journeys of Walk-ins, Starseeds, and Hybrids. Barbara, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really do appreciate you coming in.
You're welcome. I'm really always happy to share about this. And it sounds like your audience is full of very awakening, on-the-ball people. So many of you in the audience will know somewhat of what I'm talking about, which is very nice. And maybe some of you will be introduced to some new aspects as well. So I would like to say that Sheila Seppi, being a walk-in herself, and a very brilliant one, in my opinion, she has written so much in this book, Conscious Convergence, about the different types of walk-ins, the different types of souls that have come into human life, and the intermingling of souls. She talks about an individual soul coming in, which was true in her case, but there are also many variations of that theme, in that she talks about braided souls, where there might be two or more souls who come into the same person, each one with a different aspect of the influence that they would like to have, again, in raising the spirituality and consciousness of humanity. So they're not against each other. They blend nicely. So she talks about braided souls and blended souls and many other different kinds of walk-ins that there are, in addition to her kind, where one soul came in and did the exchange with another soul of a person here. But I think the most important thing to get out of all of this is that it's all for a very, very good purpose. It's for helping us as a collective here in the world. And you know, as well as I do, that there are so many really difficult negative things going on in the world now. I suppose they always have, but seems like more than ever now. And with, one war after the other happening, and the threat of war, sort of nuclear bombs going off, and financial takeovers, and all the political disputes, all the trafficking of people, there is an awful lot of really, really negative activity going on here. So it seems like it's a very appropriate time for walk-ins and starseeds and hybrids to be here on Earth, living amongst us, to really help out, help change the whole attitude of humanity wherever they can. So that leads us to talking about starseeds. Starseeds are regular people living here. They were born here, raised here, lived their entire lives here. And so they are not walk-ins. They did not do any kind of soul exchange with anybody. But they are here also to help humanity, help raise the consciousness, the understanding, the attitude of human beings where they can. So they seem to have had a lineage somewhere in the past, even in the distant past, of having been extraterrestrials themselves. And then they may have had a few human lifetimes since then, or maybe even in the last lifetime they had been an extraterrestrial. That's true in some cases. But here they are as a human being, having been born here, grown up here with a family, went to school, did all the things that their contemporary people did. And yet they too always felt a bit different. In many cases, they had a lot of psychic skills. Sometimes they already had telepathic skills. They could heal people, heal animals, heal plants. So they just, seem to be much more talented in many of those ways than the rest of us are. And so, as I said, they are here for good. So I have in the book a few cases of starseeds who worked with me in sessions and with regressions. And of course, when they came to me, I didn't know that they were starseeds. And in fact, in most cases, they didn't know that they were starseeds either until we did this work together, and particularly the regression work. And they realized in the regression work that, oh, yes, they were actually having very favorable, positive contacts with extraterrestrial beings who were acting as very benevolent guides for them to encourage them in the work, the helpful work that they were doing here on Earth. So it was really exciting for me and for each of those persons to discover bit by bit that, oh, yes, no wonder they have these abilities. No wonder they have this kind of global consciousness. No wonder they were having difficulty with the density here on Earth, which hybrids and walk-ins also experience because they're from another realm originally. So anyway, it's been very interesting and exciting working with these starseeds and having them bit by bit realize, oh, yes, I guess you could call me a starseed because I fit all the requirements of being a starseed. And then with the hybrids, that came right out of the extraterrestrial regression work that I was doing with many, many people. And I began to realize that there were two hybrid programs going on in regard to extraterrestrials. And in one of them, which probably most of you have heard about, the hybrids are living on the ship. They do not come to Earth, and they could not come here to Earth because their proportion of genetics is mostly extraterrestrial, with some human mixed in with them. But I began to realize in the early 2000s that at certain conferences, particularly the International UFO Congress, which I spoke at many years, I began to realize that there were people there who were different. And I came to know some of them and realized that they are hybrids. The first woman I met was Cynthia Crawford. Some of you might know of her. She has passed on now and is working on a ship with extraterrestrials. But when she was here, she did wonderful work with people and wonderful sculptures of extraterrestrial beings, about 20 or more different types of extraterrestrial beings. And they would channel through her when she was doing one of these sculptures so that she'd get the detail correct. Anyway, I met her at a UFO conference, and just by chance, when putting mayonnaise on a sandwich and a little carousel in the hallway, and I looked at her and saw these beautiful big eyes, looking like human eyes, but definitely bigger than most of the eyes of most of us. And I looked startled, apparently. She said, "What? Like, why are you looking at me this way?" And I said, "Oh, well, I hope you don't mind my saying this, but you remind me of a hybrid." And she smiled and she said, "Good for you. I am a hybrid." So that began a wonderful, wonderful friendship of knowing her and realizing that she had been born already as a hybrid. So then I began to meet other people. A couple of years later, at the International UFO Congress, someone was brought over to me to have me meet that person. And I looked at that person, a woman, and immediately I said, "Oh, you remind me of a mantis being, a mantis extraterrestrial." And she smiled and she said, "Good for you for recognizing that. I am a mantis being," meaning that she is a mantis hybrid, a human with mantis extraterrestrial genetics. So I got to know that woman really well. In fact, I had her stay at my home for a whole week and noticed so many things about her, the special abilities, special sensitivities. She could talk telepathically to dogs in my neighborhood. I mean, she just had loads of very special abilities. And I became more and more convinced, yeah, I think she really does have mantis extraterrestrial genetics in her. And then I began to meet more hybrids. They were all scattered around different states, different locations. And it turned out that several of us were invited to a gathering in Southern California, just east of Palm Springs, for a long weekend. And so I got to know several more of the hybrid people there, always being impressed with what wonderful people they are, how tuned in, how sensitive, and the wonderful work that they were doing to sort of educate people and again to raise the consciousness. And then it turned out that a wonderful writer from England, Miguel Mendonça, started emailing me and calling me and asking what I knew about hybrids. Somehow he had heard that I had been to a couple of those gatherings and knew some hybrids. Well, make a long story short, we decided to write a book together, which we did in 2015. The book is called Meet the Hybrids, the Lives and Missions of the ET Ambassadors on Earth. Meet the Hybrids. So that book talks about 8 hybrids who we interviewed at great length in tremendous detail, and it talks all about their becoming a hybrid, how they became a hybrid, and the lives and the missions that they do. So that really opened up that whole aspect. So when Sheila approached me a couple of years ago to collaborate with her about walk-ins, starseeds, and hybrids, I was very happy because I love to share about these wonderful people who are doing this really excellent work here on Earth, and really in each case, in their own way, have lots of connection with their extraterrestrial guides. So in Sheila's case, as a walk-in, part of her very effective work is that she keeps hearing from what she calls the collective of beings. I think that most of them are Arcturian beings, very, very high conscious beings. And when she starts a new project, I say, Sheila, wow, how did you get that idea? And she said, oh, my collective every day is giving me instructions of different things to do to help raise the consciousness here on Earth within humanity. So I think that we're very fortunate as a population here on Earth that we do have some of these people really trying to help bring us to a higher level of understanding. And I know that with the hybrids, the beings who gave their genetics to these hybrids living here on Earth, that they want very much to help raise the consciousness of humanity enough so that we, humans on Earth, can be part of the great galactic federation of many, many planets. And at this point in time, Earth and humanity do not qualify for being part of the Galactic Federation because we have so many dysfunctional things going on. We have our wars, we have greed, we have really vicious competition, you name it, we have crime, you all know. And so since we have so much divisiveness, so much nasty competitiveness going on, so much materialistic concerns rather than consciousness and spiritual concerns on the part of so many people, we just do not qualify to be part of that galactic federation. And those beings would really like to see us included in that. And I personally would like to too. Many of you do, I'm sure, as well. So it's very heartwarming to me personally to know that we have these beings here on Earth, the walk-ins, starseeds, and hybrids, who are really trying to help. Because again, there are just so many negative things going on, and we really need that help, I think, as a humanity, as the species that we are. So Cosmic Convergence, this book, has wonderful explanations about these three categories of people, plus the case studies of a few of the walk-ins I have worked with, and the starseeds and the hybrids. So there's plenty of human interest, as well as these wonderful concepts. So I'm wondering if any of you, Dave, your audience has any questions.
Well, we're going to get to questions in hour number 2 for you regarding this, but I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't understand what a starseed is. And even though I've been doing this for almost a decade, I still get confused sometimes. Could you break down for us what a starseed is, as we got about 5 minutes to go before we go to break?
Sure. Well, first of all, a starseed does not have genetics in this lifetime. from extraterrestrials. So we would just say the starseed is a regular person, but they do have a lot of psychic abilities and healing abilities. They're very highly sensitive people. They're sensitive to the negative energies that are here. And of course, they rejoice in the positive energies. They, like the hybrids, have always felt since their earliest awarenesses that they just are not like other people. They may look like other people, but they have that feeling of not fitting in. And in many cases, they like to be out in nature, in the woods, the fields, the ponds, the lakes, and so forth. They just have an affinity with nature and with animal life that we have. And they, like the hybrids, very often express that they feel like this earth and even their family are not their real home or their real family. They don't know where that real home is, but often they find themselves looking up at the stars and looking up at space and just having a very strong sense that somehow their true home is out there in space. So they often have unusual dreams or sometimes memories or visions. Sometimes they bring through messages from some of the higher beings they came from. They have downloads of information in some cases. And they all have a sense of mission that they are definitely here for a purpose. And many of them don't find that purpose until they're, maybe in their 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s. And once they do realize, that's what I'm here for, whether it might be physical healing or it might be teaching, it may be teaching meditation, maybe teaching spirituality. But anyway, once they realize that, now I know what my mission is, they are really, really happy and totally get into that mission. They also experience a lot of synchronicities that when they set out to do something or have an interest in something, it seems like just magically the resource for that just simply comes to them. I know I myself, in developing my work over many years now, sometimes the synchronicity happens in the sense of my thinking about something. Like, for instance, way back in the 1970s, I was thinking of, I am doing a lot of counseling type talking with people. I really should get a master's degree and get my license and be a proper registered therapist.
Right.
And the very next day, after really starting to think about that, the telephone rang, and somebody out of the blue, it happened to be somebody I knew, but said, did you know about the new master's degree program that's just opening up in the town next to mine? And that will prepare you for becoming a licensed therapist. So things like that, that I would get the interest, a very strong interest, and then there would be a synchronicity that would open that up. Anyway, that happens to many of you, I'm sure, too. And it happens to the Starseeds as well, lots and lots of synchronicities. And they have a great empathy for all forms of life.
Barbara, I'm going to cut you off right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. And what a show so far. Talk about an educational performance that Barbara Lamb is giving us right now on Starseeds, on walk-ins, hybrids. We're going to learn more about this in hour number 2. We're also going to take your questions as well if you're in one of our chat rooms during the show. Barbara's new book with Sheila Seppi, Cosmic Convergence, Journeys of Walk-In, Starseeds, and Hybrids. It is on sale right now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online. So go get it and add it to your library today. This is Dave Scott. We'll be right back with more Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, guys, we'll be right back, okay? We're going to turn it over to the dirty one because he is filthy. Absolutely filthy.
It wasn't my birthday, but I had a shower. All right, 1 second here. I just got to finish this. Let me just put this microphone down here so I can yell into it loudly. Let's finish this drawing here. And then, so I was watching, well, I live in Canada, so we get the Skinwalker Ranch show like 4 months after it actually comes out or something silly like that. So I was watching it and they were talking about sending radio waves through the stone. So I figured, wouldn't it be hilarious if there was a Mothman and an alien or something strange inside the stone listening in? They're just sending radio signals back and forth. So I figured I'd just draw the Mothman and a gray alien hanging out in the nether. I'm not really sure where they are. That's why everything's all liquidy and goopy. So he's like, I think I hear someone listening in on us. The gray alien says, nah, it's probably nothing. But little do they know, it's a bunch of smart scientist nerds at a creepy ranch in Utah. Alrighty, there we go. Once again, I'll say it a million times. Anybody that does inking for lettering, those guys are legendary on their chosen difficulty in life. It's just crazy. It's actually interesting too, because our guest today is Barbara Lamb, and I was talking to my pal Barb. I hang out with a lady named Barb. We go to the local watering hole and slug wobblies and talk about UFOs and junk. And anyway, it's not important. But I phoned her today and I said, hey Barb, the guest tonight's name is Barb. She goes, well, I hope you have fun. And so I'm having a good time anyways. It was funnier in my mind when I was thought about telling everybody. So hope everybody's having good. Let's see what everyone else doing here. Highest bidder. Oops. Let's go scroll down to the bottom of the chat here. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Brown Dwarf. Oh, yes. By the way, my calendar is being currently published for 2025. I just have to wait for all the technical mumbo jumbo and everything to finish happening, and then I will plug that and you can scoop a calendar. And then my book will be done shortly after that as well. So you can buy that too. And they're all good for your crazy uncle or weird friend, or just for yourself on your coffee table or on the back of your toilet. I don't even know if people even have like a magazine on the back of their toilet anymore, but they should. Good place, because, you know, you can go hide from the in-laws, hide from the cats. Nice, look at how goopy this place is. I bet you this is what the... Oh, look, there's one right now. It's the gremlin. Climbs up the back of the chair, despite the fact he can normally jump up on the side of the table here. Like, he does it on purpose, clearly. He's orange, so, you know, orange cats aren't the smartest cat. All right. Looks like we're pretty much almost done here. Just a little more goop. But yes, I bet you this place is really mucky. I'd hate to have to walk around in there. But, you know, they're cryptids and aliens, so they probably got a little bit more of a advantage and they're used to it. It's like some kind of strange Malazan warren, which is full of dust or something. And yeah, look at that. That's pretty good. I think I'm satisfied with that one. Oh, let's dress it up all nice so it looks good. Ooh, that looks looks a lot better. Get the old booster seat for it too while we're at it. Look at that. Aliens hanging out in the ether. And then, Bigfoot's probably in there and he just cuts a little slice with his like little stone that he has. He just opens up and walks into our world. Yeah, I bet you that's how it works. Not quite positive, but
Hello, Dirty.
Hi, Dave. I was going to say I put $5 on that, so
Right on. Okay, Barbara's with us.
okay. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Dirty. Great night. And we'll go like this. See if anybody else has come on in. While we're doing that, thank you to Richard, Joe, Jennifer, and T-Bone for the great super chats. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out and go from there. And here we go. Here comes the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate turning your listening ears wherever you are on Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, regression. Regression is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Joining us tonight, legendary hypnotherapist, regression therapist, Barbara Lamb. She has a brand new book out with co-author Sheila Seppi, Cosmic Convergence, Journeys of Walk-ins, Starseeds, and Hybrids. It can be found on Amazon and Barnes & Noble right now as we speak. Barbara, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate your time.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to be here. I love sharing about this, and I appreciate that you have a nice, wide open, receptive audience.
Well, you just said something, wide open and receptive audience. What do you say to the naysayers out there that believe that this is all hokum and that believe that there is nothing to this?
Oh, that's a great question because it seems like so many people I meet just in going through life know nothing whatsoever about any of these things. And so many people just don't even think that there really are extraterrestrial beings or even that really are UFOs that come from somewhere else in space. So, we have a very mixed population here on Earth, that there are some people, like you people in the audience, who are really opening up nicely to some of these other aspects of reality. But I would guess that probably most people in the world, in this several billion, 7 billion or whatever it is, population, probably most of these people are not aware of these other dimensions of existence or life on other planets in the cosmos, or let alone any kind of visitors coming here or people being here who have some of those ingredients audience, shall we say, themselves. So there are probably many, many naysayers, as you're referring to. And I do meet them here and there, and they're perfectly good people, perfectly nice people, perfectly intelligent people, but they just don't know. So I think that I respect that they have not had the opportunity to know about these things, but that it would be desirable, in my opinion, if they would open up to taking in some of this information, sort of swirling it around in their minds and seeing what they make of it, and to just not rule it out, to be open enough to think, well, okay, maybe possibly there are extraterrestrials and walk-ins and starseeds and hybrids. So I kind of respect that does not know about these things, and I respect that the person might not even want to know about these things. They have enough going on in their life as it is. And yet try to at least put that little bit of opening possibility in there. Because I think that the more people who are aware of these other beings and other aspects of reality, the more helpful that is. We can get so focused on what's happening with politics, or what's happening between this country and that country, or what's happening over there in Ukraine or the Middle East, or so many of the big concerns, the corruption, the crime, competitiveness of all kinds, that it's all a very worldly point of view. And in reality, I think there is so much more going on that is so expansive, so inclusive of so much. And that's what I personally really like to be able to sort of generate interest in that.
Barbara, when you deal with these skeptics that are out there and you are trying your best to show them the results of the facts that you have brought to the table,
right?
What is usually the reaction from them? Do they believe that the numbers are made up, the statistics are made up, or that they are skewed in some sort of way?
Well, there's a whole variety of reactions that I get from different people. Some of them might have, like a surprise and even a little bit of opening to these ideas. Say, wow, I didn't know that. I'll have to learn more about that. I think that's a wonderful response. I really appreciate that one. But some people say, oh, I don't know. There's no proof of it. And then I'll say, well, there actually is proof of it. I mean, if you would know these people who are having these experiences or who have these characteristics themselves, that might be more convincing to you. And then sometimes a person might be just totally closed to any of this. And I just say, well, I see where you are. I respect where you are. But, just at least have it in your thought, along with all the other thoughts, that maybe there is more to this reality than you happen to know about. Just consider that is a possibility. So when somebody is really skeptical, I don't expect to turn them around and convince them of these sorts of things, but just at least encourage them to just accept the possibility, and they can look into it more if they want to, or not if they don't want to.
Let's get to some audience questions here. We're going to start off with Polly, who is asking, are hybrids a threat to the government if they are a bond between Earthlings and ETs?
Well, that's an interesting question. No, I don't think they are a threat to anybody, including the government. Now, there is a whole different point of view about ET human hybrids that has been put forth by Dr. David Jacobs in Virginia. I know Dr. Jacobs. We're friends to some extent. And we have a totally polar opposite point of view about hybrids from each other. I see them, at least certainly the ones I know and know about, are all here on Earth to really help people. And his point of view is more that the hybrids who come and live here on Earth from spaceships are here, in his opinion, to eventually take over the world. So we could not disagree more than we do. And I respect him and like him very much. So there are these different points of view about hybrids, but I don't, certainly the hybrids that I am aware of and know very well, they have nothing to do with trying to disrupt the government or create any hassles. They're more focused on raising the consciousness and giving help to individual people.
Awesome.
I hope
that was great. Let's get to another question here. Let's go to Queen Peachy Keen, who is asking, braided or branded, what's the difference? And are these soulless beings or something else?
Oh, good question. No, they are not soulless beings by any means. In fact, a walk-in is a soul, perfectly viable soul, who either lived in an other dimensional realm of being or an extraterrestrial realm of being, and then has inhabited a human body. So the soul continues in the new human body here on Earth. And then, of course, when that person dies, the walk-in in that body dies, that soul will go back into the soul realm where all of us go after we physically die. So the soul is always there in this whole process, before, during, and after the walk-in experience.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go over to Derek, who is asking, Barbara, what's the most woo encounter you have had with this phenomena?
The most woo-woo encounter?
Yes.
Well, I would say that happened to me personally. Now, I am a person who, as far as I know, did not have extraterrestrial visitations during my childhood, teenage years, young adulthood, even middle age, really, until I had been doing this work in regard to extraterrestrial encounters for at least 10 years, maybe about 12 years, and more interested in it, of course, and knowing more and more with each person I worked with, each regression I did. But so early in the 2000s, one day, a nice sunny day, I was home alone, and I walked from my office room into the living room, and there, standing in the middle of the living room, was an extraterrestrial being.
Oh, my.
Just standing right there, and right in the middle, just, space around him. And I had not been aware of anybody coming in the house. My husband was away at the time, and I know my doors were locked. I always keep them locked when I'm home alone. But anyway, here was this being standing right there, and he not only seemed like a man standing there, but he was a reptilian man standing there. And as if that isn't enough, he seemed like a really nice, friendly being, even though he looked fully reptilian. And normally, I would not be at all comfortable with a reptile type of being, especially a big, full-size one, taller than I am. And but this one just seemed to exude such a nice feeling of friendliness and safety. So I went right over to him, and he had his hand out in a handshake position, and I put my hand in his as if we were shaking hands, and held that hand in that position for the next 5 or 6 minutes that he was there. And he talked to me telepathically about how he had chosen, or he had been sent, he said, to visit me in the middle of the day when it was light and sunny, nice clear light, plenty of sunlight coming in my living room windows. And so that I would have a conscious, awake, alert experience of an extraterrestrial. And the reason that he and his group wanted to do this, to give me this experience, was because they knew that when I am working with a person in regression, I am completely trusting and believing what they are saying. And yet, when I go away, which I went away every single year for a month every summer to visit the crop circles in England, and also had trips to many other countries, usually at least one other different country every year. And they knew that when I'm away, focusing on something completely different, that I look back on this work that I was doing with people in regression and just wondering if those extraterrestrial visits could really be real. It would be just a flashing thought. And then when I would come back and do that work again with the next person, I'd be completely open and trusting that this was true. But because I had those momentary doubts once a year or so, the beings decided that I needed to have my own encounter with one of the beings in the middle of the day with lots of sunlight coming in so I could see clearly and feel him. So he even said telepathically, now you know that this is really, really true, that beings from elsewhere, referring to extraterrestrials, do come here and visit people. And you can feel me, you can see me, you can feel my energy as well as my physical aspect. And so you know that this is real. You will know forever after this that encounters with beings from elsewhere are really real. So for me, that was a very, very unusual experience, of course, and a very positive experience. I'm forever grateful that I had that experience. It was totally good. There was nothing about it that made me feel afraid or creepy or anything. But I must admit that while I was holding his hand, I definitely decided not to look down at the hand holding, because I thought if I see talons or spiky nails or something, I probably will not be happy with this experience, and I don't want to ruin the experience. So I didn't take a good look at the hand, but I still remember what it felt like. It felt like a slightly thicker, from the palm to the outside, a slightly thicker human man's hand. Anyway, it was a very nice experience, but your caller wanted to know what was sort of the most unusual or the creepiest experience, I would have to say that was.
I could see why. I could totally see why.
Yes. But it was just fine. And I'm very glad, because it did totally reassure me that, yes, these experiences do happen.
Let's go to Eriko here. Can we identify hybrids by their diet? So we got about 4 minutes to go before the break.
Okay. Well, hybrids might have a slightly different diet. There might be a healthier diet than most of us, but not a radically different diet. They might eat less meat. They might eat more fruits and vegetables, more salads. But the hybrids I know do not eat in a strikingly different way than the rest of us do.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to Ethanol, who is asking, could someone be a hybrid and not know?
Yes, well, in fact, all the hybrid people whom I do know, they did not know until they were adult that they were hybrids. And they wondered about themselves ever since they could remember, ever since very, very early childhood, wondered why they were different, or why did they see auras, and why could they heal people? Why could they know what other people were thinking? Why would they know things going on in other people's bodies, to just name a few? And they wondered why they didn't think their family could be really their real family. The real family must be out there in space somehow. So they had wondered all these things. But in each case that I know of with a hybrid, they didn't know until they were fully adult, maybe young adult, maybe 19, 20, 21, and so forth. I know Cynthia Crawford didn't know about her being a hybrid until she was age 35. And by the way, I think it's worth mentioning that she became a hybrid by the action of human beings. Her father had been part of a clandestine military operation in which they had some genetics from extraterrestrial bodies, probably some that had crashed here in UFOs, and they mixed those genetics in with the person, like the eggs from a woman and the sperm from the man, the mother and father, and mixed in extraterrestrial genetics, which they had from these beings. And they created a hybrid embryo and implanted that in the human mother. And in Cynthia's case, that embryo was left there in the mother to gestate full term and to be born here. So Cynthia didn't know that, although she certainly recognized many, many differences that she had that other people didn't seem to have. And definitely had wondered about that. But when her father told her about this, she did not object to having been created with extraterrestrial genetics. In fact, she sort of welcomed that because she had lots of contact with those beings and liked them, even loved them very much. But she objected to the fact that she had been created as an experiment by the American military. So I think that is very interesting. But she's the only hybrid whom I know who was created by humans doing it. In all other cases, it was the extraterrestrials who created the hybrids.
Barbara, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour here. Barbara Lamb and Sheila Seppi have a brand new book out called Cosmic Convergence, Journeys of Walk-In, Starseeds, and Hybrids. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
these are great questions, Dave.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Yeah, the audience is very, very brilliant. Very brilliant.
Yes, it must be.
I just wish I could stop coughing tonight. I'm having a coughing fit, and I apologize to everybody. Not sick.
That's something that's really hard to stop.
Oh, once you get going, yeah.
And especially when you really want to stop it.
Yeah, I agree. And then I took a sip of my drink, and it went down the wrong way. And I'm like, oh, gosh, like I need that right now. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, dear. Say, is there a way that I can listen to this program later on if I want to?
Absolutely. It'll be on any major podcast network and on YouTube.
Okay, so YouTube. And what's the rest of the YouTube address?
Just type in Spaced Out Radio. It'll go right there. But don't forget to hit subscribe.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
Yes. That'll be nice.
Good.
All right.
And I'd like to hear of some of your other programs, too.
Oh, there's about almost 1,000 of them on there.
Wow. I bet they're all very interesting, too.
Oh, they're all a little bit different, that's for sure. Try and be unique.
What wonderful work you're doing, Dave.
Thank you.
Really, to get this information out, and so many more people are opening up to these things and learning about them and curious about them. So I think it's just great.
Me too. Let's see. We got about 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we go until we go another half hour.
Yeah, another half hour, and then we're good.
Yeah, okay.
Super Vin, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see here. Yeah, the audience is asking some pretty good questions tonight.
Yes, they really are.
And let's see here. Yeah, it's too bad Sheila couldn't have joined us tonight.
Yes, she just has been so busy, so many different kinds of appointments and things. And she said, I guess around the middle of the day, that she had such a jam-packed schedule today, as well as every day, that after her earlier evening appointment, she just would be absolutely wiped out and just would need to go to bed, eat dinner and go to bed. So normally she is with me on these interviews.
Yeah. Must have been a fun book to write, though.
Oh, it was. It was very interesting. Yeah, and it was good for me, too, to go back over some of the cases that I had worked with in each of those three categories, and remembering the details, because I take notes, verbatim notes, and to sort of review that was very interesting, because I can't carry all of that in my mind of each person I work with. So it was a very good review, and I love to share what I'm interested in. So I enjoyed writing it and sharing it. I enjoy sharing in this way, too.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Yeah. So I'm very interested in your son.
Yeah, he's pretty talented. That's for sure.
Is he aware of having any extraterrestrial
Not
visits?
yet. Not yet.
Uh-huh. Well, he may be having them and not aware of them.
No,
That's so often the case with people. But
he's had paranormal and cryptid experience. He's had paranormal and cryptid experiences.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Well, how great if he can talk to you about them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. We got about 18 seconds here. Thank you to Deborah Rooney, T-Bone, Jennifer, Cosmic Joe, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, people. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check on out and go have some fun. Go do a little bit of shopping. Here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We have her till the top of the hour. Barbara Lamb is here, hanging on out with us as we are talking all things hybrid, starseeds, and much, much more. And Barbara has a brand new book out with Sheila Seppi. You can get it on Amazon or on Barnes & Noble, called Cosmic Convergence, Journeys of Walk-ins, Starseeds, and Hybrids. Barbara, thank you for being here.
You are so welcome.
All right, let's continue on with more audience questions here, if you don't mind, because they are a lot of fun, and there's a lot of them. Let's go to T-Bone here. What is the difference between a wandering soul and a walk-in?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I think a wandering soul is someone, or is a soul, a consciousness, that over a long period of time tends to live in different parts of the cosmos, different planets, and that would be as different types of beings, which we call extraterrestrial beings. And then in this lifetime, that soul decided to be a human. So that soul is not a hybrid or not a walk-in, but could be a starseed. In other words, somebody fully living here, fully human, but here to help. And I have met a few people who consider themselves to be wanderers. And of course, they're very, very interested in the whole UFO extraterrestrial phenomenon, particularly from the point of view of, at least vaguely, sometimes more clearly, remembering that they had been some of those forms of life in previous incarnations. So a wanderer is someone who is a soul who has lots of different experiences from lifetimes to lifetime, sometimes as an Arcturian, sometimes as a Pleiadian, or an Andromedan, or a Zeta, tall white Zeta, or whatever species of extraterrestrials, and is a human now, having the human experience in this lifetime.
Awesome. Let us go to Human Carl here. He is asking, Barbara, have you ever come across a spirit who decided not to go into the light to reincarnate and remains in the spirit realm?
Oh, wow. Interesting question. Well, apparently, as souls in the spirit realm, we can decide it's up to us about staying there or coming into life. And that means coming into human life or coming into what we consider extraterrestrial life. But some souls apparently stay in that spirit realm for a long, long period of time. And as I understand it, there are different levels of the spirit realm, so that people or souls can go from the realm that they would usually enter into after physically dying, and can stay in that realm until they decide to incarnate again. Or instead of incarnating, they can go on up into another level. It would be another dimension, another frequency, which would be even more spiritual. And from there, they can go on into upper layers or frequencies, dimensions. And some souls who seem to have completed everything that they need to learn by the various incarnations, that they can decide not to come back into any kind of incarnation, that is, into form or extraterrestrial form, and just go and merge with the source, which many of us humans call God. So it's not inevitable that every single soul has to keep incarnating. Sort of depends on the development, the growth of the soul. As the soul becomes more and more spiritually oriented and less interested in physical life on this planet or other planets, that's when that soul can sort of rise into these higher levels, higher dimensions of reality, and then merge with Source.
Let's move on to Polly here, who is asking, is hybridization approved by the Galactic Federation, if there is one?
Well, I definitely think so. And as far as I know, of course, I don't know the whole picture, but as far as I know, the people who are hybrids, who were given genetics by extraterrestrial beings, they are here for good, and the Galactic Federation would approve of that. The Galactic Federation is composed of many, many members, different species of extraterrestrials from different planets. And one of the interests that they have, among many, is about planet Earth and humanity. So with the hybrids, the ones at least that I know of who are created for being good, being helpful here, the Galactic Federation, I'm sure, would approve of that.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. Let us move over to T-Bone again, who is asking, can a walk-in soul still be a soulmate?
Yes, definitely so. In fact, I know a couple of people who are walk-in souls and who feel very, very bonded with another soul. Now, in a couple of cases, that other soul happens to be living an extraterrestrial life. And in some cases, that other soul that this one is bonded with is having another human life. So there actually are a couple of cases that I know of where a human is very, very bonded with the soul who happens to be in an extraterrestrial life. And one of those with the other soul happens to be in extraterrestrial but other dimensional life. So there's a book actually was written, least a couple of decades ago, maybe 2 or 3 decades ago, by Elizabeth Clarer. And I think it's called Inside the Light or something like that. Anyway, it's her story of having met her twin soul, who happens to be another kind of being out there in space. And I worked in regression with a woman here a woman who was probably in her early 50s, and she felt very, very bonded, very soul connected with another being who seemed to be human-like extraterrestrial, and yet was in another dimension. And he could come and visit her briefly, and she could go in her astral body and visit him in his realm. And they fell in love and felt very bonded and connected, and they were actually going to get married, with her knowing that he would not be able to live here full time, nor would she be able to live there where he is full time, but they could still have a wonderful, ongoing, committed relationship. So yes, I do think that happens.
Okay, let's go over to our next question from Zenzabil, who is asking, this all begs a central question. Are we not all hybrids somewhere in the past from an outside interaction, not of Earth's surface?
Oh, great question. I really applaud the questions coming from your listeners. They're really excellent. Yes, there are theories, and I think that they probably are true, that all of us human beings were hybridized a long time ago. Many of you know about the work of Zecharia Sitchin in Sumeria, ancient Sumeria, and the Anunnaki beings who came and wanted gold and wanted workers to mine the gold, because that's really difficult work. And so they looked at some of the less advanced, the more primitive life forms here, two-legged, two-armed life forms, and did some genetic engineering, creating early human beings who would do that work for them. And then those beings, of course, developed through the many, many centuries into fully functioning as we are human beings. So that theory, and there are other theories too, even some biblical references to early humans having been hybridized with extraterrestrial genetics. So whether these are entirely true or not, I can't say, but I think that they're very plausible theories. So we may all be hybrids.
I wonder if I am. I just wonder. It just makes me wonder. Let's go to Resonate. Have you ever done any DNA testing on these hybrids or seen it done?
Well, that's a very interesting question. With the 8 hybrids whom I worked with for the book Meet the Hybrids, I got together with 6 of them in 2016 at the International UFO Congress. They all had a chance to get up and tell their own truth during my lecture. And then we had lunch together. And of course, this question came up about genetic testing. And a couple of them had already found out that all of the genetic testing labs are mandated to give their genetic testing results to a particular department of the federal government. No matter who the person is, they were all mandated to do that. And so my hybrid people decided that they did not like the idea of some department of the federal government knowing specifically about them and their differing genetics, because they didn't want to be, investigated or captured or spied on or whatever by that department of the government. So these 6 of them all came to the conclusion, okay, let's not get genetically tested. So I do not have test results for you, but still some other hybrids I know went to some of the genetic testing agencies that are very well known and very popular. And all that would come back, there would be any indication of being different, is that they might have more of a percentage of unknown DNA. Everybody has some unknown DNA from these testing labs. And the hybrids might, at least the 2 or 3 I know, who had reports from genetic testing labs, all that it would say is that, like, you have maybe 30% unknown genetics, like most people would have maybe 10% or 15% unknown ingredients in their DNA. So there's nothing that really proves percentage of the ETDNA. The way that they would know that is that they would already have samples of DNA from actual extraterrestrials to compare the person's DNA with. And so far, no lab has been willing to admit that they actually have extraterrestrial genetics to compare to. So that's one of the difficulties going on with that particular aspect of genetic testing.
All right, let's move on to another question here from our audience. Let's go to Polly. Are the specific characteristics of the women picked for hybridization?
Well, that's a good question, too. They are, well, you see, people are hybridized before they become a man or a woman. Typically, eggs are taken from a human woman and sperm from a human man. Usually it would be the husband if they are already married, or another man if the woman isn't married. And then those are taken by the extraterrestrials and mixed together with some of their extraterrestrial genetics, creating an embryo. And then the embryo is put into the woman on another occasion and gestated there in her womb for a couple of months, during which time she begins to miss her period and to feel pregnant. And she may even go to the doctor, and the doctor validates that, yes, indeed, she is pregnant. And then suddenly one day she realizes that she doesn't feel pregnant anymore. And what has happened, unbeknownst to her, is that the beings came and removed that little embryo from her uterus, took it back onto the ship, and gestated it in a tank of special fluid, and gestated it until it was fully formed, and then born on the ship, that is taken out of the tank and wrapped up in swaddling clothes and raised on the ship. Or the little embryo was left in the human body purposely to gestate full term and be born here. So those are the hybrids who are living here amongst us. So in terms of choosing special people for that project, the beings may have noticed certain characteristics in the woman who would be carrying this little embryo. The choice may be made there at that point before she has that embryo, that mixture put inside of her. And what those characteristics are of that woman, I really don't know. Some of them, many of them, in fact, are already experiencers of contact with extraterrestrials and maybe have had those contacts all of their lives. So from the point of view of the extraterrestrials, they might consider those women one of their own, in a sense. They've already been visited and acted upon. So they may have special characteristics that are recognized by the extraterrestrials, and maybe it's possible that they are chosen to be mothers of hybrid children because of certain characteristics that the beings already know that they have.
I think we got about time for one, maybe two more questions. Let's go to T-Bone here. Can walk-ins stay?
Oh, yes, they do stay. Definitely. They stay for the whole rest of the life of that body that they walked into. So typically, with most of the walk-ins whom I know, they came in when the original body was in his or her 30s or 40s or 50s. But I did regress one man who had a walk-in, or he was a walk-in, who came into the body of a 6-year-old boy and was able to grow up as that boy and go through life and then eventually do the missions that he came here to do. So yes, they do live the whole rest of that lifetime here on Earth as that person.
All right, let's move on to Sierra. Are there unkind ET beings that want humans to fail?
Well, there are definitely ET beings whom we look at very unfavorably. Some of them are more arrogant or want to take more control, have more of a negative influence on humanity. And there are many speculations that some of our world leaders who are very aggressive and control-minded, that they may be influenced by certain beings. Sometimes the reptilians are blamed for that. There may be other kinds of beings too who are influencing that. And then some people say that, and I cannot say one way or the other on this, but some people say that some of the very, very wealthy, powerful people and the people who like to have a lot of control over others, some of those might be government leaders, some of them might be big financial people. Anyway, that they say, according to some people, that they actually are reptilian beings. Now, there's a lot of talk about that, a lot of speculation. I don't know, but I think that that is a possibility, that certain people are being influenced by certain races, especially the reptilian race. But I do not know from all of my work and everything that I've learned from others as well, I do not know of any extraterrestrial race that is really aiming to take over the world.
And
for
on that note,
themselves.
Barbara, we have to say goodnight to you. Thank you once again for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller. Robin Haynes will be here momentarily for the Crypted Report and much
You're
more.
listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Thank you, Barbara. You're amazing.
You're welcome.
You are amazing. Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. It was a great pleasure. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
All right. You take care, okay?
Okay. So now you have somebody else that's coming on. Can I just continue to listen if I want to?
Oh, yeah. Just head on over to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and you will be able to listen in.
Okay. I can't just stay on the phone and listen.
Oh, maybe. Maybe I'll let you.
Okay. That would be more likely that I would do that.
All right.
Just I've got to get some sleep and get up early tomorrow.
No problem. No problem. I will keep my phone line open for you. How about that?
Okay.
Sure.
I'll just hang up for that.
That's all right. I got another hour to do, so. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Barbara, I'm just walking back into my studio here. And just going to put my phone down for you.
Okay.
All right. Sweet Robbie G, how you doing? Flat 6, how are you? Scott B, nice to see you. And who else is here? Robin Haynes is hanging on out. Hi, Robin. I'll put you by the speaker so you can hear. All right. So, there we go. Go like that. Oh. And thank you tonight to our super chatters. We have Richard, Cosmic Joe, Jennifer, T-Bone ×2, Deboruni, Aloha Dave, and Moody Mongol, Human Carl for the great super chats. Thank you very much. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Regression. Regression is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. It is that time of the night where we head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
All right, let's get it going.
My uncle has told me several times to be careful when I go outside at night because I can get lost or a group of wild hogs could attack me. Usually, I don't go outside at night because I don't have a reason to do so. One night, I was with my cousin Miguel. Note, I am 17 and my cousin is 23. We were joking around and suddenly we heard a loud screech. The kind of scream that an animal in horrible pain would do. I asked Mike if he knew what the hell that might have been, and he didn't respond. I asked him again and he still didn't answer. He only told me to get my crossbow and to meet him in front of the house. We went first to check the cows. All the cows seemed okay, but they were all grouped in a corner, which seemed weird, but we forgot about it. We then went to check on the pigs. Every pig was organized in a cage of 15 square feet in which we had to check one by one. All the pigs looked scared. We then reached the last cage in which Colonel, who was supposed to be my uncle's fattest pig, but the cage was empty with what was something weird about it though. Because we had checked on him when we had first gotten home, and he was there. We started looking to see if there were remains or something, but we found nothing except some blood on the mud. Then we heard another screech that sounded like it had come from really close by. We ran out and started looking for a huge pig, but we didn't see anything. We decided to split up so we could cover more ground. I went down a trail that has a lot of trees on each side. I started hearing heavy footsteps like 20 feet from where I was standing. I decided to keep walking when I reached the place that the heavy footsteps were coming from. I saw what I can only describe as red dots. I flashed my flashlight at it and that's when I saw it. The ugliest thing I have ever seen. A black humanoid canine thing that looked grotesque. It didn't have hair, just rugged skin. Its face looked like one that a bat would have, but with giant teeth that looked to be bigger than its own face. That's when I knew I had encountered the chupacabra. Luckily, he didn't notice me. He was distracted with something else. I noticed that he was eating Colonel alive. At that moment, I silently backed off and hid behind a fallen tree. I had to witness how he ate Colonel. I was in tears. I then decided to kill that thing with my crossbow. I aimed at him and took my shot, and I hit him in the ribs. He started shrieking and running down the mountain. I then called Miguel and told him to come where I was, since we needed to bring back Colonel, or at least try to. We decided to do it the next day. Miguel asked me what was all of that screaming. I told him that it was the pig suffering because I knew my cousin would try to go after that thing and kill it himself. We started going back to catch some sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I just kept seeing that thing in my mind. In the morning, I went back with Miguel to retrieve Colonel's carcass. The body was intact except that it didn't have any more blood, and it only had one small hole in the side. Miguel started laughing, and I was like, what the heck is he laughing at? He then told me he thought that the chupacabra was one that snatched Colonel, and he was so skeptical about it that he forgot. When I told him that I saw it and shot it in the ribs, Miguel said that my uncle once shot the chupacabra in the face with a shotgun and left it for dead, but apparently the thing lived. After that night, I'm not going to step foot in the forest without a weapon.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another great story. If you want more just like these, you can head on over to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you'll enjoy thousands of stories just like that. Time for Robin Haynes. Robin Haynes, it's always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my friend?
Good. Glad to be here.
Oh, we're always glad to have you here to talk some cryptids and encounters and everything with us. You been doing well?
I'm good, but they are really active right now.
Why?
Well, it's the cooler weather, which gets them going. As we talked about before, they're trying to get ready for winter. But the other thing is, we've done this big energy shift and frequency shift. And hopefully a lot of people's frequencies are up and their energy is up, and that draws them to it. But also this time of year, they get really curious. So you combine that with what's going on energetically, the solar storms, the solar flares, all of these things with the higher frequency and energy really gets them going. And they're curious. They want to see who's got the higher frequency. They're getting closer and closer to the people with the higher frequency. A lot of my clients that, have now gotten to that level are experiencing a lot of it. And not just my clients, that's across the board. But I still warn everybody, this is the time of year they're bringing kids out. The kids are coming out. With that higher frequency and that higher energy level comes a heightened emotional state. So they love harder, they hate harder, they're more protective, they're more emotional at all times. And when it comes to their kids, they do not play, and they are world famous for the headbutts, or they're going to take that head and they're going to whack you with it. And it can be dangerous. Now, they're not all out there being aggressive, but be mindful of the fact that a lot of them have their kids out there right now. They're teaching the younger ones how to hunt. The females have some of the babies out. I've seen more babies this time of year than I have, not just this year, but I mean this time of year, than I have any other season. And a lot of people are encountering the same thing. I mean, I get a lot of calls about people that are having encounters right now. And it seems to be this time of year, it's really predominant. Like I said, they're all out hunting. They're trying to get ready for winter. So that puts them out there more than others. And with everybody, what's going on with this whole energy shift, everybody's moving out of that third dimension and they're going in a higher dimension, and that has a higher frequency and a higher energy, and they love it. They thrive on it. They are automatically in their own right higher frequency. So, they're all frequency and energy whores, so to speak, because wherever that is where they are. But not just them. we need to realize that with that comes the dogmen, the cat people, the goatmen, any of these cryptids, elementals, dimensionals, you know. So just know that they're out there. That doesn't mean they're all out there to harm anybody, but know that they're moving around right now. The dogmen are the same way. Dogmen are not all these terrible killers everybody thinks that they are. I've had them around me my whole life. Have I dealt with bad ones? Yeah. Normally they weren't at my home. The ones that come around here and anywhere else I've lived have always been fine. They've actually been helpful at times. But with them, you know, it's a lot about that respect, giving them a wide area to just do what they need to do. Let them do their own thing. You know, if you run across them, back away from them very calmly and just leave them alone. And generally you're okay. I mean, there's aggressive ones. It's just like with the Sasquatch. There's good and bad in all of it.
You mentioned something about their curiosity at this time of year. What makes them so curious?
Well, I think it's more that they're out more. So when they see us, that makes them curious. They may not see us as much at other parts of the year. People that habituate with them and have them living around them, then that's a little bit different. They're used to seeing them. But as they get closer and they're looking for food, we notice a lot of people have apple trees stripped, food taken out of their shed. The farmers have chickens missing, hay missing, grain missing out of their barns. So they're encountering us more in that quest for finding more food. And they are curious, you know, I mean, they are a human hybrid. And just like we go out in search of them because we're curious about their behavior and their lifestyle and what they do, it's the same thing with them. So the whole time we're out looking for them to nose around and see what they're about, they're doing the same thing with us. And it's just this time of year we tend to encounter them more. And you've got your hunters out there, like we talked last week. The hunters are out there on top of it. That's an easier way for them to get food. Not to mention the fact they're more aware of us because we have weapons and we're out in the woods where their families are. So they're going to start walking around and they're going to watch us more than they ever did before, just knowing that the weapons are out there. That does not mean they're going to be aggressive, and people need to realize that. I'm not saying that there aren't aggressive ones, because we all know there are, but we have aggressive people of our people as well. It's not any different. But, you know, just because they're out there doesn't mean they're out looking for anybody or trying to hurt anybody. They're just checking everything out.
That curiosity, does that make them kind of forget about their camouflage when
Yeah,
they're in the forest?
I think so. I think they get so curious sometimes they're not as careful. I had one, like the first part of the week, I was actually sitting on my bed and I was doing some paperwork, and I had a large red, and I'm assuming it was male, it felt male, just walk in front of my window. Like, I never saw the head because he was so tall. I saw the shoulder and the chest as it went by my window, and that set the dogs off. And as soon as the dog started barking, it cloaked and you know, left. It was gone in a heartbeat, but it was in physical form. I mean, normally you would have thought it would have stayed cloaked, and it wasn't even concerned at all until the dogs went off. Once the dogs started barking, then they cloaked. You know, and that's the other thing too. I don't know about all states. Michigan, we never did this, but in South Carolina, they drop dogs out in the road, hound dogs, to go into the woods to chase the deer, to run them out because the snakes, I'm assuming because the snakes are so bad. I don't hunt. These dogs will go after the Sasquatch. They'll go after the dogmen, any of the cryptids, and they will chase them and chase them and chase them. Now, I have never had a problem ever in my life with any of the cryptids bothering my animals. And I have mini pigs. I mean, those are a food source, and they have never bothered them. But these hound dogs go out there, and I've watched this happen time and time again. They're cut loose out in the woods, and they find the Sasquatch, and they will go after them, and they will bite at the children. They'll bite at the adults, and they'll tolerate it for so long, and then they will just simply remove the threat. You know, so people that partake in that kind of hunting, you need to be aware. It's not them being aggressive. I had my grandson in my front yard a couple of years ago, and a coyote ran across my front yard and right in front of my grandson. Now, I'm a massive animal lover, but you mess with my babies and you are done. You know, so I don't blame the Sasquatch when these dogs go after them. I physically have seen them, and I've had people at my house that have seen it, where these hound dogs go after the Sasquatch. And it's dangerous for them. And they do end up, 9 out of 10 times, they do end up killing them. But I've never had that problem here. So just for people that do run the dogs like that, be aware that this is something that could happen, because they will go after the Sasquatch. They will go after the dogmen. And it puts their families and their children in jeopardy, and they're going to protect them. Absolutely.
That protection that they put out, does that also include people if predators are around?
Yeah, they will if they feel that they're a threat. You know, generally, if it's a human and they feel that there's a threat there, they will do a number of things. They'll do anything from throw the bigger rocks, the little tiny pebbles that might get tossed at you. That's just to let you know they're there. You can tell by the size of the rock what the intent is. The bigger the rock, now they're getting more serious. They want you out of their territory. They can wave their arms at you and yell at you. That has happened countless times. I've actually seen it, and I've talked to a multitude of people that's happened when they were trying to protect them from another predator that was in the area that could have hurt them, whether it was a bear, a cougar, bobcat, whatever. And that's, you know, they ran these people out of that area for their own protection. But they'll do that if the kids are there as well. They won't get physical, but they will go through the motions to scare you away, and they can project emotions. So they can put that, what they call the wall of fear, into you, where you're fine 1 minute and then you just have this intense feeling of fear and you're absolutely terrified because they want you out of there. These are all ways that they're going to let you know that you are now in an area that you are not wanted. They don't want to do that physical harm. They don't want to hurt you, but they will give you plenty of signs to get you to understand that you're not wanted there. So be aware, be mindful of it. We don't have to have a horrible encounter. We can see where they do things just to get us away. You know, yes, there's bad ones out there that can be, and they're lethal. But more often than not, they are not trying to be aggressive. They are just simply trying to get you out of their area for whatever reason. You know, we don't have to keep pushing that envelope all the time.
Interesting. Very interesting. The idea that at this time of year, they allow themselves to be seen more, is that out of consciousness they're doing it, or are they just allowing more people to have encounters? Because I've always believed that Sasquatch allows you to see it. You don't see it yourself. You can't go looking for it to see it unless you catch one off guard. But
I think you're right. I agree with you 100%. I think this time of year, and I don't think they're letting us see them more because it's this time of year. They're encountering us more because it's this time of year, because they're out, they're more mobile where our areas are, rather than being hidden so far in the woods because they're trying to get food. I think that in a lot of cases, they allow it. You know, a lot of these hunters that have actually physically seen them, they're allowing them to see them. I agree with you, Dave, 110%, but they're allowing it because they want to show what they are, to intimidate you. So when they take that food, you're just going to let them go. You're just going to let them move on. Or they get so preoccupied because they're out hunting that they're not focused on us, and their guard comes down. I mean, they can pick us out of anything, but if they're not focused on it because they're focused on other things, then it's entirely possible that you're going to get a sighting or accidentally have an encounter. But they aren't going to let you see them. I mean, it's once in a while you get one where it was accidental, but not too often. They're pretty much on top of it. They're so stealth, and they're so good at the cloaking. You know, they raise their vibration so that they bend the light around them, and they can be right next to you and you don't even know it. They would come up in the woods with me and they'd play with my hair or put their hand on my shoulder. And I'd turn around and nothing would be there. But if it was in the wintertime, I would see footprints being made in the snow. Or if it was the fall, I would hear the crunch of the leaves as they were walking.
you have had close encounters with this creature, and many others that I know have as well. But those are still of a rarity
Yeah.
that goes on. What kind of trust do you have to have with Sasquatch to get a close encounter?
I think it's mutual. I think it's mutual. They sense your vibration. They know what your energy is. They know your intent. I mean, they can literally read you like a book. And if you have a pure heart, that's the first place to start. If they think that there's any ill intention in you, then they're done. It's over. It's not going to happen. But it takes respect. It takes having that pure heart where they know that they're not in danger from you. People with the higher frequency and the higher energy are absolutely a must because they're comfortable around it. A person that's very negative, that's very aggressive in any way, the only thing they're going to get is a bad encounter because it physically makes them ill. They cannot handle that low frequency and that negative energy. They don't want it around their people, and it makes them feel awful. I mean, it doesn't make them sick. It just makes them feel awful. And so they'll run those type of people out in a heartbeat. But if you're pure of heart, you've got that higher frequency and higher energy, they are more than happy to interact with you. This time of year, more people start getting encounters than any other time of year. And it's just because they're actually gotten close enough to us during this time where they're gathering food, where they become aware of us and they pick up what kind of a person you are.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I still would love to have an encounter where I'm within touching distance. I really would.
Yeah. The up close and personal, I think no matter how many times it happens to anybody, myself included, it's like the first time every single time. Normally I've seen them a little bit of a distance or 10 foot. I've had a couple of them that have come right up where they were like 3 to 5 feet from me. But I have had them where they've come up behind me when I've gone out with them at night by myself or with just another person with me and put a hand on my shoulder. I had one that came up to me. I went outside one night and he literally came up and put his hand on my lower arm. I still remember feeling it. He was red hair and it was very long and I felt it on my wrist. But the thing is they do this trancing, and when they trance, your brain is completely functioning. Your body goes into autopilot. So that in that particular case, when he put his hand on my lower arm, he did trance me because I can remember in my brain thinking, this is so amazing. He had the most gorgeous eyes. And I'm thinking, but yet my body isn't reacting to anything. And so, I kind of figured what was going on. Normally they don't do that with me, but they'll come up quite close, or I'll turn around and there'll be one standing right there in the bushes. So yeah, I've been very blessed that I've had the encounters I have, but it's not like they come up and shake my hands and, say, hey, let's go back to the cave, or anything like that. But yeah, I've been very lucky, but more and more people are getting these encounters. They're getting braver all the time. As we move into the next dimension, as we start accepting them for what they are, not what we perceive them to be, but what they actually are. We learn their ways. We learn their culture. We start working with them. We will get more and more interaction.
That is awesome. Robin, we only got about 30 seconds left with you tonight. Could you do me a favor and tell everybody where they can get a hold of you and find more information out?
Sure. I'm on Facebook under Robin Haynes, not Robin L, but just Robin Haynes, Haynes. Or if you want my services, you can find me at www. Now I forgot the name of it. I'm so tired tonight. I can't think about it. Paranormal-empowerment.com. Sorry about that, guys. It's late on my end.
Not a problem, Robin Haynes. Thank you for coming back. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio is Dave 101 Night.
And this is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Oh, you have a wonderful night, my friend.
Yes, I have to call you here in the next few days.
That's fine. I'm so sorry I missed your message. I have been working like crazy, and I got done working. I haven't been on Facebook much, and I fell asleep and I didn't get it. Otherwise, I would have responded.
That's okay.
Yep. You know you can call me anytime.
Okay.
Anytime you need me.
All right.
Love ya. Bye.
Love you too. Bye. Robin Haynes, everybody. Hi, Mike Bothwell. Hey, Dead Man. Yes, Bigfoot are intelligent. They're not dumb creatures. Joe, they're only used to you because they look like you. Oob, by the way. I don't know what's with my hair tonight. I don't know where it's with my hair tonight. I'm so tired tonight. Oh, bonjour, Mike Bothwell. Lunico. I feel like a zombie tonight. I do. Once again, sorry about all my coughing tonight. I just am not doing well. I'm doing great. Don't get me wrong. But in that department. If you're an apex predator and live in a forest, which Bigfoot do exist, of course it would make sense for them to be intelligent. And if you add to the fact that there is a possibility, since we don't have a body, we don't really have any evidence that they of what they are, then you are looking at possibility that maybe the creature could be supernatural in some way, like many First Nations people have claimed over the years. Thanks, Adam Weiss. The aliens have taken my retinas now. Oh, they've found poop before. You know, the problem is nobody, you can find all the evidence you want, but nobody has the money to DNA test because that's still quite expensive. And you just don't send Bigfoot poop to 23andMe. They don't exist anymore. Oob. All right. Thank you to Human Carl, Moody Mongol, Aloha Dave, T-Bone ×2, Deborah Rooney, Richard, Cosmic Joe, and Jennifer for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love. Here we go. Here we go, the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night, that time of the week where I yell at each and every one of you to get off my lawn. It's a Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave! Who? Dave, D-A-V-E! What is this?
Dave's not here. It's the Dave 101.
I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over.
Leave the killer out! Yeah! Leave the killer!
It's a mess.
So here I am on X today, and I'm getting all of these messages that Luis Elizondo is going to be doing a live X space for all of his audience to hear, and they can ask an open Q&A. Well, it wasn't Lou's X space. It was another channel's. And this is what I don't get. And this is where I'm a little upset for our audience, who deserves to hear from Mr. Elizondo, who had taken a 3-year break on public appearances in order to, get ready for his book Imminent that came out. And it's a great book. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But Elizondo is under contract with his publishers, HarperCollins, and they are taking care of his PR. That's part of his deal. But it makes me wonder what is actually going on, because outside of a couple people, they really haven't dealt with the UFO crowd. Now, the sentiment on that is this. Why go onto the shows, the podcasts, the YouTube, the radio shows, when we already know those people are going to buy your book? Let's go to other places. Okay, and he's gone on some big places, from Good Morning America to the Joe Rogan podcast and everything in between, where millions upon millions of people have tuned in to watch his interview talking about his role, whatever it is, with ATIP and UFOs and what he calls UAP. Now, here's what kind of bugs me, and where I think as an audience, you guys should be upset. When you add up all of our radio stations, and you add up our YouTube and our podcast downloads and everything like that, we equal out to just a hair under 200,000 people listening per show. Now, if you go by our YouTube numbers and our download numbers on podcasts, you're not going to see that, but we also get our numbers from our radio stations. And here's the thing. You guys have been denied an interview with Elizondo. And yet, an X space hosted by a gentleman with 47 subscriber or followers on X. 47. gets an X space with Elizondo for 1 hour, and over 1,000 people plus show up for that hour asking their questions. Does that seem fair? You see, back in the To the Stars Academy days, Elizondo, when he left with Christopher Mellon and Steve Justice back in December of, I believe, 2020, 2021, they left Tom DeLonge's group. I had a phone conversation with Elizondo, set up by Sean Cahill, which I still to this day greatly appreciate. And Lou was blown away that I had put in 15 requests for interviews and never got one. In fact, the only response we ever got back from the To the Stars Academy was them asking me if I would provide preloaded questions to ask Lou prior to the interview. I said, I'm a professional journalist. I've never done that in the past, nor will I do it for this interview. That's not the way journalism works, and that's not the way we do things on SOR. So they declined my interview. Most of the time, I never even got a response back from Carrie DeLong, their PR person. Okay? In the meantime, you'd see podcasts with 200, 300 listeners, 500, 800, 2,000 get the interview. That's when I started to realize that there was a narrative at play. And narratives, when it comes to subjects like this, are not healthy for what we do. Fast forward to that conversation with Elizondo, where he apologized. And he said, Dave, I'm going to make it up to you, the Spaced Out Radio audience. And he's come on this show 3 times. But I wonder if Lou actually understands that what HarperCollins is doing is the exact same thing. You see, ufology is where they have to be defensive. If I play devil's advocate here for a second, because they're not paying attention to who the good shows are, who the bad shows are. They're not paying attention to who asks pointed questions or who is a butt kisser. They're not asking those questions. What they are saying is, we're just not going to do it. We are not going to do it and put potentially Lou in a predicament to say something that he shouldn't. On one end, that's a good move by the PR department. On the other hand, it's a bad move because many, like myself, feel that it's biting the hand that feeds them. Lou Elizondo would have no popularity if it wasn't for the UFO world putting him on a pedestal. Now, there's a lot of people who are going to listen to this in the UFO community and say, Dave, you're being anti-Lou. You're being anti-Elizondo. You're one of the haters, and I hate that term hater. I think it's absolutely 4th grade level. But I'm going to say it because I know people will say that. But here's the thing. Why aren't we getting interviews? Instead, they are sending him to areas where he is getting the friendly interviews. Now, if you look at some of the people who have interviewed him from the UFO community, let's take a look. Matt Ford, friend of this show. Matt Ford is on the board of a UFO group that Elizondo is on. Vinny Adams, another great friend of this show, is the same thing. You will learn and look that a lot of the shows Elizondo has done has been by British people. What's an American intelligence officer doing hanging out with a bunch of British people? Not people of government, people, civilians. That's one of the questions many in the UFO world have. But I wonder if Elizondo realizes that they are also, once again, biting the hand that feeds them. It's a UFO world that has bought the books, that has bought into the fact that this is a conspiracy that needs to be covered up by the government because they don't want to give up the technology. They don't want to give up what they know. We're never going to know. Disclosure is a farce. That is why I believe in confirmation. We've had that conversation numerous times before. So I'm wondering how Elizondo is now going to fix, if he does, the relationships he has with people. When it happened with TTSA, I know he was very apologetic to people like myself, to the John Greenwald from the Black Vault, to Jimmy Church and many others, because he couldn't believe that TTSA screwed us out of interviews. And it was the same thing, and will it be the same thing if it happens again? This isn't about grifting or falling for BS. We work on facts here. All right? And the fact is, the ball has been dropped again, which is why, for the sake of the audience, I actually, earlier this week, rescinded my request for an interview with Lou Elizondo. And not only did I put the PR people from HarperCollins, Julie and Heidi, in that email, but I also tagged Lou in the email. So if you didn't hear it earlier this week, here it goes. I'm emailing you to rescind Spaced Out Radio's request for an interview with Mr. Lou Elizondo. As a person who's worked in media and broadcasting for 26 years, I've been nothing but disappointed in the way this PR group has handled my request for time with Mr. Elizondo, who is a friend of the show. From the time we started speaking, months before Imminent came out publicly, we were told we'd work out a time to get Mr. Elizondo on SOR. In fact, it was your group that stated you wanted to have him on our show the first week the book came out. Then there was scheduling change after scheduling change, with now there being no timeline as to when Mr. Elizondo may or may not appear on our show. I have stated to you prior that we are not a podcast. We are a live terrestrial radio show with almost 250,000 listeners and subscribers combined who wanted to hear Mr. Elizondo speak about his book. However, it is disappointing to see other programs with far fewer listeners and subscribers getting interviews prior to us. Therefore, I thought I would show you the professional courtesy in stating that I will no longer be looking forward to an interview with Mr. Elizondo on his book to my audience. My audience deserves better treatment than this. We understand the inundated schedule that Mr. Elizondo has kept throughout his book tour. We are proud to have acknowledged his book and the importance of it several times on our program. We are also gracious enough to give your PR firm the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, we feel it is now too late to have Mr. Elizondo talk about his book with any impact to our audience. Thank you for understanding. If Mr. Elizondo chooses to pursue an interview with Spaced Out Radio and myself, we'd be happy to oblige him with this requested opportunity. But as for right now, we are no longer interested in dealing with this PR firm regarding Imminent. Our audience hold us to a high standards, and in this case, we feel it's best for them to move forward without an interview. Thank you for your time, and best gratitude, Dave Scott, host, owner of the syndicated radio program, Spaced Out Radio. That was my letter to them. Now, I have not got a response, nor did I expect one. They're probably just like, well, there's one we don't need to worry about. Okay. And that's fine. That's great. But you can't bite the hand that feeds you. It's never worked publicly. It's not going to all of a sudden work today. There are thousands of people who are getting Lou Elizondo interviews, downloading them. And what are they hearing? Are there really green aliens up in space? Are they really getting here? And you know what? Nobody has asked a single question. Lou, after James Lukatsky, Jay Stratton, Eric Davis, and a couple of others, Colton Kelleher, were very proudly talked about in your book, why did all four of them throw you under the bus after Imminent was made? What happened there? That's a question that needs to be asked. Lou, what about your own experiences? There's another question that needs to be asked. Are you an experiencer? There's a lot of questions that need to be asked. And unfortunately, the majority in ufology will not get to ask them because Lou has no control over the publicists of HarperCollins. That is not Lou Elizondo's fault. It is 100%, in my opinion, the PR firm's fault, and they should be ashamed of themselves for turning their back on their supporters in ufology. That's your Dave 101.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Loud noises! I am good at things. Fighting and reading the news.
It's time once again for Spaced Out Radio's Weird News of the Week.
All right, we're going to start off with a little bit of a scary story here. Despite its calls for disclosure, not disclosure. I still got disclosure on my mind. Let's kick that out. Despite calls for its closure, the owner of a haunted house in Tennessee, known for traumatizing visitors, vows to remain open. McCamey Manor first opened in 2017 in Summertown, Tennessee, branding itself an immersive horror experience. People who enter are required to sign a 40-page waiver, according to the attraction's website. Each tour is personalized to hit into the participants' deepest fears and can last up to 6 hours, as guests will be mentally and physically challenged until you reach your personal breaking point, the site says. Guests must be at least 21 and meet additional requirements that may include completing a sports physical, getting a doctor's note that confirms a visitor is in good mental and physical health, proof of medical insurance, and a phone call screening with owner Ross McCamey. McCamey Manor was featured in the 2023 Hulu documentary Monster Inside, America's Most Extreme Haunted House, and exposed viewers to what participants could expect during a visit. Some call it a torture chamber. Others described it as full contact experience. We are known for no quitting and no safe word, McCamey says in the documentary. Either you actually complete the tour, which is not going to happen, or you mentally or physically are at such a breaking point that it's not safe for you to continue, and I need to take you out. If selected, guests say they had to sign a waiver on the spot before getting a preview of what might happen in the house. Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti launched an investigation into McCamey and the Manor in October 2023 following the release of the documentary. McCamey countersued this past March, claiming the inspection of his property violated his constitutional rights. A petition launched on change.org, God, I hate those things, which calls for McCamey Manor to shutter its doors, has so far attracted more than 193,000 signatures, with its goal of 200,000. McCamey confirmed the House of Horrors is still up and running, insisting his carefully vetted visitors are vetted, to avoid any knuckleheads from taking part. So basically, it's a freak out session on a haunted house. Yay. Good job. Here's a weird one. England's Bristol Zoo is asking for the public's help to identify a mysterious winged and horned creature caught on a trail camera in the Woodland area. The zoo said the trail camera in the facility's Woodlands area, which is home to numerous wild animals, captured a photo of the mysterious winged and horned creature. And to be honest with you, it looks like a deer with wings. It does. Looks like a deer with wings. Our UK conservation team made the discovery when looking through night vision images from camera traps set up in the award-winning habitat where bears and wolves live alongside wolverine and lynx, the zoo said on its website. I didn't know the UK had bears. Wow, learned something there. Many observers said the animal in the photo appears to be a muntjac deer, but zoo officials expressed skepticism in his Facebook post, posting the mystery creature's photo side by side with a deer picture. Many comments under the post theorized out of the creature's wings and horn are actually the result of the camera's exposure, capturing the animal's ears multiple times as it moved. The zoo acknowledged the sighting came conveniently close to Halloween, and it might be fake or the blurriness. It does look interesting. It does have wings. You go look for it, but it still looks like a deer to me. I don't know what's happening in New Zealand. I know we got some New Zealand listeners. Maybe they can fill us in. If this isn't turning this democracy into a communist country, I don't know what is. New Zealand airport has set time limits on hugs for people dropping off travelers. Yeah, it's apparently sparked outrage after introducing the 3-minute limit on hugs at its drop-off zone. Photos of the sign, which is part of the airport's effort to deal with the congestion and improve traffic flow and safety, has infuriated and entertained social media users. For fonder farewells, please use the car park, the airport distinctively added. Another person added, tyranny should be responded with united disobedience. Government and corporations need to be reminded that this is our world and not theirs. They don't own us or it. You can't put a time limit on hugs, one person said. That's inhumane. Another commenter joked, that's generous. A hug only takes about 10 seconds, and a quickie in the car park can be done in under 3 minutes. Let us say hello to Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up with the guitar, God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elga, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at #SpaceTravelers.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Thanks. I'm done. Let's see here. Do that, and let's go here. Let's just log in. There we go. I hate that when you get logged out for no reason. It's usually when I blame Sweet Robbie G. Just easier that way. Damn it, sweet Robbie G. Damn you. Oh, there we go. Alone Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. Not bad. Last 30 days, we've had almost 700,000 downloads. That's pretty cool. What's my little downloads overall now? I don't know. I gotta find that. That's gonna be a fun number to find. Right there. One right there. Two. And here we go. There we go. Close that out. Close that out. And we're ready for a merry old time here. There we go. Thank you, Major Lee. That's a nice grift chat right there for you. Mm-hmm. Do. Boom. Boom. That she loved very much, but she was just tired and didn't want. And I'll save that house. SOR1. What the hell? Any questions about the Dave 101 while we're chatting here? Anybody? 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 Hi, Bobbert Marley. Bobbert Marley. Eva. Nope. They have not got back to me about coming on. Mike Bothwell. And I don't see it happening. And that's why at the end of the Dave 101, I refused the interview. I declined it, rescinded it. Rescinded my request is the proper way to put it. There's some interesting stuff that's going on right now. And there's a lot of deep questions that people are wanting to add. Brown Dwarf, I don't know when we're going to. You got to talk to Dirty Filth about that. He took care of that one. Anyways, there's a lot of deep questions coming up in the circles on what is truly going on in the UFO right now world. And the one thing that I'm hearing a lot about right now, like a lot, is about oh, that's Barbara right there, son of a gun. So that's going to be the ending. That's where I blew it. All right, let's just undo that paste. Let's go over here. Let's go to there. Okay, that's where I screwed up on the microphone BS. What an idiot. And it was funny. I was listening to Elizondo earlier today, and one of the things that he said when talking about this topic was he talked about how people in the UFO and UAP world, and I was just like there it is. It's exactly what we keep talking about. They want to separate it. They can't. They can't. They don't know how. We're getting there. Amplify, let's say 150. There, that's the one. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to be here. I love sharing about this, and I appreciate that you have a nice, wide open, receptive audience.
Well, you just said something was all hokum, that thing to this.
Oh, that's a great question because.
Oh man, did I butcher this? Well, we're gonna try and build this up a little bit. Right to about there.
Oh, that's a great question.
We're gonna pump the hell out of this. Let's go 400. There we go. We're just gonna keep pushing the 400. Is that me coughing there?
Constantly, about these things. They have enough going on in their life as it is, and yet try.
Cancel that. Oh, I know what you're trying to do right now. Let's go like that to there. And let's build that up. There we go. Believe that there is nothing to this.
Oh, that's a great question because it seems like so many people I meet just in going through life know.
Oh, well, we're going to sneak this in. I don't care. We're going to sneak that part in. We didn't screw up the rest of it. SOR3. There we go. It's not that long. It's only a couple minutes. How long was that about? That was about 3 minutes. That's fine. They will get it. They will play it. They will love it because they probably won't. Like that. Bingo, bango, bongo. All I'm saying, guys, about the Elizondo thing, okay, it's not about grifting. It's not about any bullshit like that. When you sign a contract with a PR firm, they literally control your public appearances on everything because they have to max it when they get somebody on the hook on a big book deal like this one is. They have to make sure that they have figured out a way to get their money back because books are a business. What is going on here? Books are a business. And so they hire PR firms or they create their own PR firm where these, where is my intro music? These people, they control the.
That's an interesting question. Fully lit time. The sword.
Let's move.
Picture. But as far as I know,
Sorry, guys. Apparently, I'm butchering my audio here. Trying to do too much at once. Anyways, copy. We'll paste over this. Anyways, what happens is these people who do the PR firm, their job is to get him as much exposure as possible. And that's why you saw him doing a lot of television interviews and so on and so forth. Okay. And that is fine. Okay. That is great. But where it's not is ufology, and people in ufology lose out on it. Is that 3 or 4? That's 4. They lose out. Now, the attitude of the PR company is, we will, those UFO people are going to follow you to every show, so it doesn't matter which ones you're on. Not realizing that it's the same questions over and over and over again. And that it is so 2017, the questions that they are asking. And it's every show. It is literally every show. Let's get to the heart of the matter. Right? Oh, I have no issue with Elizondo. I have no issue with other shows that get him on. Okay? I don't. But it's amazing how those extremely close to him got an interview and the rest of us did not. I know shows out there and hosts out there, because a bunch of us are talking privately, that never even got an email back from the PR firm. Mr. Bob Newell, how are you? Lex Diaz, good to see you. And once again, I do want to reiterate, this is, a lot of people want to blame Elizondo for the sun coming up in the morning. Okay? That's just the way this community is. People love him or they hate him. Okay? My job is to provide the interviews to our audience. Can't do that if we are being declined. And that's part of the issue. Anyways, where are we here? Is this there we go. Yeah, could be super. That's the start of the show right there. And all right, everybody. Tomorrow night on the show, we're going to wrap up the week with Robert Allard, Military Encounters with UFOs. God, that sounds good. Really good. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Moody Mongol, Human Carl, Major Grifter, Deb ×2, T-Bone ×2, Cosmic Joe, and Richard, and Aloha Dave for the great super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate your love and support. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell. I would love to try and get to about 29,000 subscribers by the end of the year. You guys can help with that by helping share the show and just promoting it to your friends, saying, hey, come hit subscribe here and check it on out. We've had a bunch of new listeners come in recently. I'm very thankful for that. We are different than what everybody else does, and I hope you're okay with that, because you know, we try and put on a professional radio show as well as YouTube and podcasts. So thank you very much for the love, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. You guys have a good one. And I am oot, as Rob G would say. I am oot.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.